Supporter of the LGBT community for my entire life. And Madonna Cacciatore, who does such a great job planning all these events, she invited me and I couldn't be happier to attend. And, you know, the whole Sorted Lives franchise that we have is such a blessing for us, you know. And we have a new movie coming out next year. And I tell you, this is the time that we have to all stick together and make sure that the LGBT community rises as it's been doing and doesn't get knocked down by anybody who comes and tries to overtake our Hillary. And it's just been the most glorious thing having this radio show. I do LGBT topics and politics. So I think it's topics that we always need to keep at the top of every conversation. I really do. And I've never been let down, and I've always been, you know, raised by my LGBT friends. And the one thing that I will say, I want our LG, gays and lesbians, to really start, I'm sorry, I'm spritzing, to start really paying attention to our transgender and our bisexuals. I've learned so much having my radio show about bisexuals. I always had that little snicker, you know, little snigger behind my face, my eyes. It's a real thing. And our transgender people who are getting killed every week just for who they are, it hurts my heart. And I'm hoping that as long as we bring more awareness, and not the Jenner kind of awareness, not the Caitlyn kind of awareness, I think we need all the other women who have proven themselves to be such incredible assets and contributors to the cause. We just have to, that's the whole problem. People get scared about what they don't know. And I want to bring more understanding to that. So that's what I'm doing.
So tell me about why you're here tonight.
I'm on the board of the Gay and Lesbian Center. I've been for like 10 years. I think it's one of the most important human rights organizations in the world. You know, the breadth of the work that they do is really, really extraordinary. I'm here to help raise some money, help raise some awareness about the extraordinary place that is the LA LGBT Center.
We're sort of teetering on the brink of craziness in the world today, don't you think? It's good to have nights like this.
Absolutely, it's nice to have some refuge and to feel a real hot spot of positivity.
And then you're also doing the Fosters, right?
I created the Fosters with my producing partner Bradley Bredeweg, and it's been an extraordinary ride. We're in the middle of season 4 right now, and having the time of our lives.
Hey, Teresa, Real Gay TV.
Teresa, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I'm a fan of the show.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much. We're back.
Yeah, it's dark though.
It's a little dark, but you know, life sometimes can be a little dark. You know, yeah.
It's kind of a fun character to play, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always fun to play somebody who's in the middle of a huge transition in their life, and that's what he's going through, you know, meeting this amazing hot guy, and then, getting the HIV diagnosis. I think it's kind of thrown him for a whirlwind, and yeah, he's kind of figuring out who he is and what he wants now.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I watched The Normal Heart today, and I lived a lot of my friends died, you know.
Well, it's so funny that because this week I just watched How to Survive a Plague, that documentary about the HIV/AIDS crisis, and ACT UP, and it was, you know, it was such a different time period, but it's important to not forget that people, like, what is it, in the 90s, like 8 million plus people died in the 90s from this disease. And, you know, if we don't educate ourselves, we're bound to repeat, you know, so, yeah.
It's so funny, I thought we'd never, I forgot what it was like to know that every week or so you'd hear somebody else that you knew was gone, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really, because, I mean, I was still a little kid, but from watching that documentary, people didn't have access to medication that kept them living healthy lives. And now we do, for the most part, although there's a lot of controversy about cost and stuff like that. So,
And now your character's on that road.
yeah. I mean, it's part of who he is. It's not all of who he is, which I think is really important as well in telling the stories, because people living with HIV/AIDS, it's only part of who they are. That's not their whole story. And I love the writers and Pete Nowak for being so thinking about the big picture with Oliver, instead of just designating him as like the after school special. He gets to live so many other facets of his life and represent in a realistic way.
That seems to be more and more on television, that people get to be realistic, and that's nice to see.
Yeah. People want to see themselves in a realistic light, and not as a stereotype, and that's what he's doing, and How to Get Away with Murder is doing in such a great way.
Well, Vanguard Awards are, one of our favorite nights, because it really does honor some amazing people, and it supports the LGBT Center here in California. And the center is just so special to us. We were just there the other night, doing a screening of Bianca Del Rio's a movie, and it's such a fun place for everyone to be able to come to, enjoy themselves, educate themselves about, different layers of this community. But then it's also a place where people go find refuge, and I mean, as a gay kid from Mississippi, I understand what it's like to feel like I have nowhere to go. I need to be around people like me. And, unfortunately, tons of kids get kicked out of their homes at an early age. And this is the only place that they can go and find out, what do I do now? Can you help me? And that's what it's all about. It's just, giving a helping hand.
I'm just curious, what did you do to get through that, being a gay kid in Mississippi?
It was very lonely. But, I had a really great family, a very loving family, and I just really focused on, loving my family, doing what I was supposed to do. I, joined a boy band, which kind of kept me from realizing, okay, the only thing missing in my life is relationships. That's when I had to really face it, and I stopped praying every night to turn me straight the next day, and I got over the fact that there wasn't anything wrong with me. And it took meeting other gay people and educating myself about the community, because I myself was confused about what was real and what wasn't, because you're brainwashed as a kid to do certain things and think certain ways, especially growing up in the church.
Well, I mean, some people, it takes their whole lives, they never come to accept who they are.
My best friend at 37 just came out of the closet from my hometown of Mississippi, and it's something we always kind of assumed he might be, but it took him this long to really love himself. And I feel so bad that he couldn't even tell his best friend, who was also gay. So yeah, everyone, it takes their own time to find themselves.
So I know you have Birth of a Nation coming out.
Yes, I do.
And that's going to be life-changing for you.
I play a white heterosexual Christian plantation owner in 1831, and as everybody knows here, I'm a gay liberal Jew, so I feel like I won the lottery. I feel like the luckiest guy on the planet, and I'm so excited to be here to be able to give back to the Gay and Lesbian Center, because this has been a big part of my past and my history and also my future. So I think it's important. Now, this will probably be the place I leave my money, I think. Yeah, because it means a lot to me. This is a place where we all congregate to support each other, and when you're out, you're not just out for yourself. I'm out for you, and you're out for me.
Yeah, I heard you sing your audition on America's Got Talent, and you were fabulous.
Thank you so much.
So how has that changed your life?
Oh my God, it's completely thrown me for a whirlwind. The best thing to ever happen to me. I mean, going on the show, I had no idea what it was going to bring, and the response from the LGBTQ youth has especially been very touching to me, and to hear from wives and their straight husbands and them changing their minds after watching me, that's why I do what I do. I want to be myself, and hopefully that I can show people that this community is nothing to be afraid of.
Plus, you just have one of those incredible voices and a lot of star quality, and not always, the star doesn't always win. I've noticed on this.
Totally. We went through a list. We were like having fun one day. We went through the list to see who always came not in first. Jennifer Hudson, One Direction, Fifth Harmony, Adam Lambert, Chris Daughtry, all the people who have really, really done well on these shows. Nobody ever was Clay Aiken. None of them were winners. So I'm not too worried. I'm writing with some of the best pop songwriters in the biz, and I'm really excited for my EP.
So you're you're in the studio right now recording?
In the studio right away, like 2 days after the show, I was like in the studio working on stuff. So
Is Simon working with you on that, or are you?
not yet. They have their time to decide what they're gonna do, but I'm gonna have an album ready for whatever happens. Yeah.
I loved your rendition of Creep. I mean, I'm telling you, I would look online to find your little clip and watch it because you just have an incredible voice.
Are you gonna be inside tonight? I'm gonna sing again tonight. Oh, bummer. Man in the Mirror. Yeah. So they asked me to sing that here tonight. So.
Yeah, so I'm just supporting my castmate.
I've seen you on the red carpet before supporting events and causes, and I think that's really cool. You seem very young to be doing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all a really tight-knit cast, and I love Jesse, and I want to be here for him, and I know he is super involved with this organization and gay rights, and what he's done has been really amazing, and he definitely deserves to be honored. So.
And how are things going this year on the show?
It's going great. Season 8, we just premiered. It's going awesome. We love being on this show, and we'd be happy if it went on forever. So,
Jay Mendel. I don't know what J stands for, but that's all we need to know.
And you're presenting tonight.
I am giving an award to Jesse Tyler Ferguson and his husband Justin Makita for their tireless work on behalf of the LGBT community.
It's a pretty amazing community, isn't it?
It's astounding. It's astounding. But we're sort of an epicenter, you know? This is not since Paris in the 20s has there been such a sort of gays, lesbians, and trans persons been so at the fore of like culture and entertainment. So LA is great, but the reason why the center is so important is that there's so many places where it's not great, where people are getting kicked out of their house for coming out, which is stunning to me, and I think it's pretty stunning to a lot of people that live in such, urban spots like Los Angeles. So anything I can do to support it, I'm here.
I was watching The Normal Heart for some reason this afternoon, which was about the AIDS crisis.
and I remember well.
And just remembering like how far we've come since those days.
Well, how far we've come, how far medicine has come. My sister is an HIV doctor, and I always joke, and because I love her, I'm like, oh, you're out of work. Didn't they cure AIDS? She's like, no, they didn't cure it. It's just very manageable. But it's astounding that AIDS is now considered a highly manageable disease when 20 years ago it was a death sentence. And just another way to ostracize members of the gay community is unbelievable. And it makes me so happy to think of that as being the distant past, but still practice safe sex.
Yeah, because those of us that saw that happen, let's not have that at repetition.
I lived in the West Village as a college student in the summers, and I waited tables, and I remember waiting on regulars and seeing the facial wasting and knowing, and you just knew. You didn't know if they'd be in the next night, and going, this is unreal. Gia, still guaranteed to make me cry until there are no tears left every time. But I'm so happy we've come so far.
Nice to meet you. Hi, Real Gay TV. I'm just going to throw Brita Wool's jacket over here. Andrew, thank you, sir. Good catch. Thank you.
So I'm a fan of Unreal.
Thank you. So am I.
I love your character.
Thank you so much.
It's so painful, though, sometimes, that show. How do you deal with all of that?
I mean, I think it's one of my favorite parts about the show, honestly, is that it is so cutting and biting, and it really twists, that knife in my gut, as it should. I mean, the content that we're covering throughout the course of the season is really important and topical and uncomfortable, and it's the discussion that has to be had, and I'm glad that we're the ones that are able to do it.
But the people do things that are just unforgivable, and then they forgive each other in this weird, because they need each other.
Yeah.
It's very toxic.
It's very interdependent. It is, it's very familial in some ways, though, right? Like, I mean, your brother or your sister may make some poor choices in life, but you're always going to be there to have their back at the end of the day, and I feel like that's what really the producers on the set of Everlasting, that's what they are to each other. They are family.
Last season there was that beautiful story of the woman realizing that she loved the other woman, and right there,
Brita Wool, right here. It was my favorite storyline of the season, without question. I'm a huge Brita Wool fan. I'm on Team Faith all the way.
But then there was the hard one. If you have any familiarity with abusive relationships, watching that get set up, and then that woman,
The Mary storyline from the first season, yeah, that was heartbreaking. I mean, once again, I feel like the writers are tremendously courageous to tackle these storylines and the subject matter. They are unfortunate and uncomfortable realities that people the world over face on a daily basis and don't necessarily get their stories told in a very positive or authentic manner. And I feel like the writers of Unreal have done a really phenomenal job of doing just that, of not sugarcoating and not holding back, but just laying out the truth of the situation and leaving it up to audience interpretation to see how what feelings what resonates with them and what inspires in them.
And then, of course, the painful one with the car and the football player this season. That's hard. That was hard to watch too.
It was very hard to watch, and it was very timely and unfortunate, the timing of the airing of that episode, coinciding with 3 recent police instances of police violence, police brutality. It's the thing about a storyline like that is that there's really no right or wrong way to tell it, but the fact that we were the ones, or the writers were the ones who were willing to step forth and to attempt telling the story is something that I applaud and was very, very blessed to be a part of playing.